Hello everybody, welcome back. In today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about communication. And specifically, if you know that there is such a thing like the 7-second rule. The 7-second rule, which basically says that people will make a first impression about you within first 7 seconds. And on the phone, it's probably even shorter, which means you have to be really fast in terms of assessing where a person is coming from so that you can treat that person in a way that will make them feel comfortable. The key word here is comfortable. People typically will be more open to talking to you, engaging with you, potentially doing business with you, collaborating with you, if you make them feel comfortable. And so if the first 7 seconds are favorable, what tends to happen is that you go to the next stage whereby you can actually pursue mutual interests, collaboration, and so on and so forth. But if you fail to get the first 7 seconds right, chances are that the opportunity will just dissolve and you might actually find yourself having difficulties relating to one another, communicating with one another, and actually doing business with one another. And that's where I see so often people fail miserably. Why? Because they just didn't get, let's say, the assessment of the other person right, and therefore they keep treating people the way that they personally want to be treated. And let's be honest, it's something that all of us got taught, to treat people the way that we want to be treated. But you know what? It doesn't work. All right? For most part, it will work, let's say, anywhere between 25 to 50% of the time, and that is being generous. It might actually be such that you will only be able to apply that 12% of the time. And so it's really crucial that you learn how to read people and then relate to them in their way, not your way. Okay? If you do that, you can basically create an effectiveness rate of as much as 100%. But most people never learned how to do it. And so in today's video, I'm going to give you 4 quick tips on how to make your collaboration, your rapport building, your relationship building, the trust building, all of that to actually maximize that in your favor so that you can work with people, get along with people, collaborate with people, and do business with people. Okay, so that's the angle that we're coming from. Okay, tip number one is modify directness. Let's just say that you are a person who like people and you like to listen to them and you like to look after them and all of that. And you're faced with a person who's very direct, very forceful, and wants to get everything right now. You see there that your natural way to ease into things, get along with people, invest in the relationship, and all those sort of things are actually not going to work with this other person. Why? Because they're coming in from a very direct angle. They want to know exactly who you are, what you can do for them, and what's in it for them. And so that pace of directness, if you see that somebody is very direct, don't try to impose your very nice, friendly, chatty nature on them because it's going to backfire, guaranteed. So that's basically your directness. If they're direct, go with direct. If they are, let's say, more easy, subtle, and take a bit more standoffish, go with a little bit more easing into it. That's the first tip. Now, tip number 2 is, and we'll let the phone ring in the back end, that's all fine. Tip number 2 now is openness. Certain people are very easy to talk to other people. And so, for example, they might be, you might meet at a networking function and they're just chatty and they're chatting to everyone. And it's as if they know everyone, but they don't. They're just very comfortable in chatting to people. That means they're very open. And then you got other people that are less open, meaning they're keeping more to themselves. They are more, let's say, assessing and, looking out what's happening around them and trying to get a head around it before they take action. Now, none of that is good or bad. It's just that different people respond differently in the same environment. And it comes again back to where they're coming from. So if somebody is less open and therefore more closed, chances are that you want to accommodate for that and not necessarily ask them too many personal questions. Like, for example, asking how the weekend was to a person who is very much keeping to themselves is probably not a good idea, right? And you might just ease into it a little bit more. And if you're there for business, you might want to talk business more first rather than personal. These are little tips and tricks that just help people to feel more comfortable in your presence. Now, that is basically for openness. If they're open, go with open. If they're more closed, go with more closed. Your approach should basically help people feel comfortable, and you will do that by basically emulating to some extent. Again, there's a lot more to it, but I'm trying to make it easy for you here. Tip number 3 then is about moderating your pace. This is really crucial. I have seen certain people that are very fast-paced people and that easily get things. And they think fast, they talk fast, they walk fast. And these people tend to be very quick in terms of taking action and speaking out their mind. Not necessarily thinking about things in detail. They basically think about it, and as they think it, they say it. Very different to other people that are more methodical, that are more systematic, that are more information driven and want to really take time to process information long before they say what they think, because they only feel comfortable in expressing themselves after they've taken enough time and effort to get their head around things, and then they can happily verbalize it. Now, these are two very different ways, you can already imagine. And if somebody, for example, is coming from that latter position where they're very detail and information driven and quality is really important for them to get things right, you can imagine if they are now conversing with somebody who's not really taking details that much to heart and that don't really care about it much and that are more big picture and that are more fast-paced and easygoing and think like everything will work out somehow without really giving it much thought, you can see that these two people will very easily clash for obvious reasons because their pace that is different. And obviously then also, how they go about it. So one is, for example, very fast-paced and can very quickly make an intuitive decision. The other one is more slower-paced and more methodical and systematic and will also then make decisions very differently. Two different ways of doing it. And so as long as there is a gap, the gap is going to create disconnect. And disconnect means there's no trust, there's no rapport, and there's no relationship forming really. And that, of course, all stands in the way of getting things done. Therefore, rather than keep working with the differences, try to build bridges to overcome the gap between your style and potentially theirs. That was number 3 in terms of pace. If they're faster paced, go with fast pace. If they're slower paced, slow down your pace to make sure that you're basically speaking on the same wavelength, the same pace. Because the last thing you want to do is when, for example, you're like me, you're very, let's say, fast-paced and you're very energetic and so on. You don't want to come across as too energetic and too loud and too fast, because then some people will feel intimidated, they will feel disconnected, and they will feel talked over. And I see this so often in teams, for example, especially when the senior leaders are fast-paced, that they're basically overriding the slower-paced people, and therefore there starts to become a divide. And certain people then feel comfortable in talking in groups, and other people feel actually very uncomfortable doing it. And they don't feel really respected along the way. And that is sad for that to happen. And of course, the same happens in people with clients. So if there's one person fast and another one slower, be smart and build bridges to overcome the pace difference and really start pacing yourself at their level. That's the idea. Tip number 4 now is about priority. Priority is about the way that people look for certain things. I'll give you an example. When I work with financial planners, for example, for a lot of financial planners value security a lot. And that's why they have products like securities, for example, that they're trading, right? And lots of other people like, nurses, counselors, childcare workers, teachers, mortgage brokers, property managers, many of those people, again, they value security. Government workers, the same, by the way. And so if this is a priority of someone, they are going to assess everything with a lens of, is this safe? Is this a safe organization? Is this person safe to talk to? Is this a safe group to be part of? Is this a safe employer to go and work for? They will always look at it from a safe angle. Now that is one certain type of person. Therefore, you want to address that need for safety. And so you need to learn like where they're coming from and try to appeal to their needs and wants. Then there's other people that will basically looking for winning. They want to win at all costs. They want to get great deals. They want to get great time and efficiency gains and savings. And they want to make sure that they will be potentially take a market share away from other people or be better, number one, rather than number two or three. They're highly competitive. You can sense that already. And so they will be looking for ways for you to help them win. And that is, again, very different now. That's actually the opposite of the first one that I shared with you. Then another person, yet again, will be looking for opportunities to get in the spotlight, to be liked by other people, to get some accolades and public recognition. And, you know, have also lots of fun along the way, doing all sorts of adventurous stuff. Now that is another priority yet again, number 3 already. And then the last one, number 4, would be the priority of getting the quality right, getting the I's dotted and the T's crossed. And so these type of people, no wonder that they become accountants, lawyers. They would become dentists, surgeons, people that are really about precision and high quality work. Programmers, for example, engineers, they're very often in that bucket. So once again, in terms of priority, learn where people are coming from. What lens do they look at when they assess you, your business, your products, your service, a collaboration with you, a relationship with you? How do they assess it? Because it's through the lens that people look at that they will assess anything else and anybody else around them. And so, for example, if I have very high quality standards because I'm highly analytical, and you come in with a tonality that is all about the big picture and having fun and networking and meeting lots of people without really building very deep relationships, and where I might think that there's not enough substance to it, you can already see that we're not necessarily going to become best friends or best teammates, or that we might be able to do business. And once again, it's all about catering for the 4 things that I just said in summary. 1 is directness. Second one is openness. Third is pace. And 4th is priority. If you cater for those 4 things already, early in the piece, the sooner the better. The better your relationship will work. The more you will get along, get things done, do business with one another, and collaborate. And so these are my quick tips here on communication effectiveness and communication mastery. And speaking of mastery, should you like to become a communication master and learn how to do this really well and see also how that impacts your results, I would love for you to check out Communication Mastery, which is my all-time signature program and has been a best-selling program since 2013. So Communication Mastery, go and check it out. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. My name is Brown.